9.1 through 9.10, and I'm going to ask for a motion, and I'll let Anjali speak first.
Yes, I would like to pull item 9.4 off the agenda, off the consent, and I would like to talk about it, so if we can just vote on the rest of it, and then we can vote on it.
I'll need a motion to that. That's your motion, and I'll need a second to. Okay, so the motion is to ratify 9.1 and 9.3 and 9.5 and 9.10. Then moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote. So Anjali? Yes. Josephine? Yes. Kristen? Yes. Soma?
Yeah.
Phyllis? Yes. Okay, so let's talk about item 9.4, which is approval of the 2017-18 school year calendars and staff learning manual for pre-teaching learning. Anjali, since you pulled it up.
I'm just passing out I printed this off the high school calendar. There's calendar so that we could kind of look at it, because one of my things is that we should always try and match as closely as possible with the high school district, because that's where our kids go to. And we have,
Just a minute, where is our calendar?
it's on the attachment.
I saw it, but I can't find it.
I didn't make copies of that.
You didn't? Oh, you did?
I have one copy.
She'll find it for me. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, what I learned a few things today, is that we have 187 days, and the high school has 185 days. The distinction is that we do 4 learning days for our staff, and they do 2 learning days for their staff. And what's been happening over time is that they're trying to get closer and closer to ending their schools by Memorial Day, because as we all know, with the AP testing happening in May, I think it's getting more and more challenging for the high schools to manage the kids after they're done with AP and what to do. So what is right now proposed is that we are starting, our kids are not coming back to school until August. We're having learning day as the first day of school, which kind of, to me, doesn't make sense. And then we are also starting, so we are ending a week after they end. So they are ending on, if you look at your calendar, on May 31st, because we have to look at 2017, 2018, because that's the calendar we are approving right now. And they're ending on May 31st, and what we will be ending on will be June 7th. That's like a week after. And I do know that we have a couple of things that are, besides the 2 extra learning days, we also have 3 extra days at Thanksgiving. But I think in the past, we have been able to manage the 2 extra learning days by starting 2 days earlier, and starting on a Thursday, so then we kind of end with them. And I know we started the 3 extra Thanksgiving days during the session, 2010, I want to say, or 11, and it seemed to be the right week, and everything is good. And I'm not suggesting we change any of that. All I'm suggesting is that we really look at this very carefully and decide: do we want to start 2 days earlier? 1, 2. I'm not comfortable having our first day of school being when we are having teacher learning day, because it just doesn't seem right, and that's why it pushes us even further out on the other end. So if we want to have first day of school as learning day, then maybe make that Friday, and then Monday is still when the kids come back. So those are that's what I wanted to talk with everybody and see if everyone's kind of looked at this and thought about it, to see how we can make it so that our kids, because we all have kids who are in high school and middle school and elementary, so to think about the families as to how they'll handle that.
Sure, Phyllis, go ahead.
I haven't had a chance to compare these, so I would like not to vote on it tonight. But as I listened to Anjali's comments, the first day of school for kids is August 15th. So there are no, aren't I looking at the right calendar? 17, 18 students return on August 15th. So the first day of school is the day before the student is not really August 14th. It's the first day for teachers, but it's not the first day for kids.
Right, but the high school starts on the 14th.
Right.
Right.
Okay, but so I just wanted to point that out, that it's not a requirement that there be substitutes for that learning day. If children aren't there. Yeah. Okay, I think your point is well taken, Anjali, but I would like to have some more time to look at it.
So I think the question is, do you start earlier than they do so that you can end at the same time, or do you start after they do and end later? I think that's kind of what you're gonna have to deliberate on. Soma.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So their first day of school on 2017, August 14th is a Tuesday.
It's a Monday. It's a Monday. 15 is a Tuesday.
Are you looking at 2016, 17, or 17?
17, 18.
17, 18.
This is Fremont we're looking at.
Oh gosh, okay, thank
This
you.
is us.
Right, okay. So 14th is a Monday, we're starting on Tuesday. So when you say the first day of school is a teacher learning day, that doesn't really affect our families because they're just coming on Tuesday. Monday doesn't matter. Like we've started on the Thursday before and the teachers have started before that. So we don't say your first day of school, you missed 2 days ago. Do you know what I mean? So they're starting on Tuesday. I do see your point that they're not starting on the same day, and I've had a high schooler and a middle schooler, but 1 day difference seems pretty close to me, and if we want to move the calendar to be ending closer to them, because our teachers do like the Thanksgiving break, I think that's a negotiated item, we would have to do more.
It's not negotiated, but
I mean, it's their request or whatever, yeah, but I think, if this is what the unions asked for.
no, it's not about unions. Our teacher,
Our calendar was the three,
no, our calendar is approved by the board. The calendar at the high school district is approved by the unions, so we don't have it in our contract. At this point, it is not a negotiated
right,
item.
but our calendar was come up with by our executive cabinet and the three organizations, right?
Right.
So these are the dates that they wanted. So,
Right.
I'm just saying that's something that affects me is that they requested these dates.
I do agree with that, but however, we also need to remember that we are here to serve our families, and it's a week apart. Then if you have a 8th grader and you have a 9th grader, an 8th grader doesn't get done for a week.
Right, but I'm
That's
saying the
never end.
starting day is
Yeah,
only
which
a
is
day
fine.
off.
The starting day is a
Yeah.
day off, but the ending day is a week off.
Right.
The other thing you're just gonna have to throw into the equation and just think about as you make your decision is if our students are going to school for a week later than the high school students and families decide to go and leave, they start their vacations early, we lose revenue.
Right, I'm just saying it seems like a bigger issue than just the 1 day then. We have to look at
Yeah,
the calendar.
yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
Right, so the bottom line, when you look at the totality of it and whether or not we can ever get to the full week endpoint the same, the only way that could happen, the only way, because we have the extra days at Thanksgiving plus the 2 extra learning days, the only way we can end at the same time is we'd have to start 4 days early. So we'd have to start 4 days earlier than the high school to end at the same time, does that make sense? Because we have extra things added into the calendar.
Unless we eliminate like the Thanksgiving break.
Well, yeah, I don't think that'd go over very well, but.
No, but I'm saying that's the difference between the high
Yes,
school and ours.
those are 2
right.
of the days, and then
Right.
the other 2 days are the learning days, right?
Right.
So, the only real solution is to push, you'd have to push it out 4 days. And I'm not suggesting that actually, but I'm saying that's the only way you get to that,
Or
right?
we get it so that it's not as much a difference as it has become, because it used to not be, it used to be 2 days a difference, and now it's become a
Right,
week.
right.
And so for that reason, I think we need to, really think about it, because I've heard on multiple not just our high school district, like East Side is now closing before, Memorial Day weekend. So a lot of high schools are moving that direction. So if 1 year we suddenly have to do that, I think it would be a bigger impact than if we start kind of thinking about it now and seeing, do we want to shift it? Maybe we want to shift it by a day this year and then a day next year, so then it's, we're still only 2 days off rather than a whole week off. You know, I think yes, I agree with you. We have to look at the whole thing. It's not only about the start date, it's also about the last day. And there are distinct differences. We have 2 more days in our calendar than they do.
Yeah, and
185 versus 187.
Yeah, and to be fair, I wanted to share the rationale. So the rationale for the Monday was, and the start on Tuesdays a early release. Well, not quite that, but it's early release. And so one of the things that has been voiced over the last couple of years is coming back from the long summer break, and particularly with elementary, not so much wasn't as big of an issue for middle, but for elementary, coming back and putting children in for 5 days straight, especially the littlest ones, and by the Friday they're dragging, so they're very tired, as well as probably some adults too, to be quite honest, because it's a big transition, going from being off to on. And so the idea was if we took the September learning day, shifted it forward, and then started on Tuesday, you eliminate that kind of tired feel by the end. That way kids can transition easier. So I just need to share that so that you make sure you have that.
On the same token, I want to add that if that is really truly a concern, then we should start even earlier, like 2 days before. And so that they have, maybe they start on a Wednesday or a Thursday, so they only have 2 days of school, and then the weekend, like we used to do like maybe 5 years ago?
That's before I went.
Yeah, so maybe 5 years ago, and then we can, you know, kind of balance that piece of it. If that was the main concern for doing have a Monday learning day and then a Tuesday, first day of school.
Okay, I'm gonna let Phyllis talk, and then I guess we're gonna table
Thank
this
you.
and it'll come back for a decision at a later date. Is that, unless you guys wanna?
Well, do we need some
Well, I'm gonna let
information,
Phyllis talk.
right? Yeah.
I would be very much opposed to changing the Thanksgiving. I think we have a lot of evidence that we lose kids a lot during the break when we only had the 2 days. So, but I would be more in favor of having the days be split, so that maybe the students and the high school and our kids would have 2 days at the beginning and 3 days at the end, or something like that, instead of all of it at the end. So I think maybe staff could go back and kind of take another look at it and rework it and bring us another option.
Anybody else wanna speak? Kristen?
I try to understand what's the rationale for the staff learning day in late May, like May 18, because it's kind of like May 18, and then May 28 we have another Memorial Day, and then the last day of the school is June 7, and it's possible we put a staff learning day after the end of school instead of like plugging to the end of the middle of May.
Oh, you're asking me if it's, we have to
Right.
go back and talk about it. So the May Day, we actually moved that last year. And then we ended up saying, okay, we'll put it back because there was a lot of discussions. So it's a day where teachers use it for placement for the following year. So it's a day where they get to talk about children, share information, and that kind of thing. So that's why that's there, why we put it back. Whether or not that could be after school, I don't know. I don't think we discussed that. But so we definitely could. I mean, we'd have to talk about it and see if it makes sense to those who do those discussions.
Okay. And another thing, I just wonder, like, for the January 26th, is that possible, like, close to the winter recess? No, or close to the mid-year recess, so maybe the family can have a one more day off instead of, like,
Or to match it too, because the staff learning day at the high school for December is always the December, whatever that Friday is before the recess.
yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, are there any other comments and suggestions? Do we wanna,
Do we need a motion to table it?
I think we do, yeah.
I move that we table the calendar discussion for whenever, next meeting.
But we need some options.
Well, they'll be bringing it.
Okay, so I need a second.
A second.
So the motion's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so bring it back next time, okay. Alright, let's move on to item 10. 10.1 is our nomination for CSBA Delegate Assembly for Region 20.